Choosing the right real estate agent. I mean, it's no easy task. You can look on social media, but every agent is going to present themselves, of course, in the best possible light. I mean, when was the last time you seen a realtor post on social media that they finally sold a home for $200,000 below market value after it fell out of escrow twice? I mean, never, right? So how do you make sure that you don't get stuck with a mediocre agent when you sell your home? Well, the answer, of course, is to ask a lot of questions when you're interviewing them. Don't just rely on social media to see what they're about. You really need to ask specific questions. And that's what this video is about. I'm excited about it, so let's dive in. What's up guys, this is Yosef Adde, your South Bay and Los Angeles real estate expert. So before a seller hires an agent, there's typically an interview process where the agent gives their listing presentation. They're all going to show you what plays up to their strengths, like, maybe that means beautiful photography and marketing materials, or case studies for properties that were difficult to sell, or maybe before and after pictures if they include staging and things like that. But it's your job to figure out what their weaknesses are, because every agent has a part of their business they could improve on. Like for example, maybe some agents are super experienced and do lots of transactions, but perhaps they're not really tech savvy in terms of marketing properties online. So what are some good questions to ask? Well, one of the most important ones in my opinion is, what will you do differently than all the other agents out there? Because I mean, let's face it, a lot of people simply think that all agents just do the same thing anyway, so they may as well just hire the cheapest one. And a lot of amateur agents will be like, yeah, I'm going to have some professional photography done, I'm going to work really hard for you, and you'll get my undivided attention. Meanwhile, I've heard stories of agents that have said all that and literally go on a 2-week vacation the same week their client's home goes live on the MLS. So as we know, every agent is pretty much going to do the same thing in the sense that they're going to take some photos, hopefully with a professional photographer, maybe make some marketing materials, post it on the MLS, do an open house, and wait to hear from buyers or buyers agents. I mean, for more than half of the agents out there, that's pretty much all they're going to do. What you really want to know is what they're going to do above and beyond what the typical agent does. Because I mean, that's where the real value lies. Like, why is it that some agents sell for 3 to 5% below market value, while others sell their homes for their clients for much more? So when you're interviewing agents, they should at least be able to clearly articulate a list of services that they're going to provide you and all the steps in terms of getting your home ready to sell, as well as some marketing materials and how they're going to get it under contract. Hopefully they're going to explain to you how it is that they proactively target buyers and market to them, and not just wait around for the phone to ring. So if they can't clearly articulate what it is they do and what sets them apart from everyone else, I'd be very concerned if I were you. With me, when we meet, I'll clearly show you my 28-day selling system and what to expect. There's a total of around 50 steps I take to ensure that your home gets sold quickly and efficiently for top dollar, and that even includes a lot of things that other agents simply don't offer. Like with me, I include a free home inspection. I'll get your home complete professional deep cleaning with all the windows washed, and if you like, we'll get your home staged, some light landscaping, etc., etc. I also go into great detail about what my marketing plan is and my outreach strategy to proactively target buyers, and there's a total of 7 groups of buyers that I'll be reaching out to in various online ads, print media, phone calls, etc. So just make sure that you get a complete picture of what it is that they're going to be doing in order to earn your business and what sets them apart from the competition. And also you want to make sure that they have the expertise to negotiate on your behalf, which leads us into the next question, which is, what are you going to do in a multiple bid situation? And most weaker agents are going to give you an answer like, well, we'll figure out what the best option is and we'll go with that one. Yeah, well, that's not the right answer. The right answer is that, real estate contracts aren't just about price. There are a lot of variables and contingencies to consider. So what I like to do is line up all the offers on a spreadsheet with all the variables. So, like this one's asking for a home warranty for $1,000. This one's asking for a credit for $2,000 towards a new refrigerator. This one's willing to throw in 30 days of rent back for free, etc., etc. So we want to make a net sheet for all of these offers in a spreadsheet, preferably so we can easily compare them side by side and terms of price and what you'd be expected to walk away with in each scenario. In addition to, price, of course, there are many contingencies that could cause problems potentially during escrow, not to mention the length of time the close of escrow is going to be. So when I explain this to most sellers, they understand that price isn't the only factor they should consider, when they're weighing all their offers. And finally, we want to make sure that, all prospective buyers that we're considering are, very well vetted financially, meaning that we've had that conversation with their lender or, verified all their funds if they're a cash buyer and things like that. So once we have a clear and realistic picture of what our buyers actually look like in terms of net selling price, contingencies, and their financial strength, the better decision we can make with, which one to choose. And just because you get multiple offers doesn't mean you have to pick one. In fact, oftentimes it makes sense to counter multiple buyers to really draw out the highest possible bid. Now, in a perfect world, you want to offer the highest price, the least contingencies, the fast closing, and the strongest buyer possible. So you want an agent who's experienced in multiple bid situations that can help guide you to get that strong offer, with at the same time minimizing the possibility of losing your best buyer. So it's a very delicate process, and if they're not able to explain that to you, then watch out. All right, so this next question is designed to both test your agent's experience in marketing properties, as well as their honesty, so you can hopefully detect that on your, BS meter. And that is, what are buyers looking for in today's real estate market? Now, the amateur agent will be like, I don't know, everyone's different. Some want 3 bedrooms, some want a big backyard, et cetera, and they'll just, start making up a, big list. No, the right answer is, if you're talking to a seasoned agent, is that they really need to understand the psychology of a buyer and the emotional journey that the buyer is going to go on before they end up, choosing your property. Like, let's say Susie is looking for a home in Torrance, so the house has to check off multiple boxes because, everybody has a wish list. And I like to break up this list into 2 separate lists. On the one hand, we have the technical list, the ones that logically make sense. Perhaps she wants something under $1.5 million, newly remodeled, with a minimum of 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and she's looking specifically in 2 zip codes. So that's the technical list. Then on the other hand is the emotional list, she wants a backyard that's big enough for the kids to play in, something that looks cute with curb appeal, lots of trees and privacy, maybe something on a cul-de-sac, and things like that. And oftentimes, believe it or not, these things on the emotional list end up trumping the ones on the technical list. Like maybe Susie finds a house with a backyard of her dreams, but it only has 3 bedrooms. And maybe they had to stretch a little bit more on price in order to get into the best part of that neighborhood. But you know what? They really wanted that house, and now they're going to fight like crazy to get it. So the right answer is, the agent shouldn't just make up a list of things that they think that buyers want, but rather they need to come up with a strategy of what features and amenities that your home has to offer so they can highlight those instead. So you want an agent that's going to maximize your home's exposure to as many buyers as possible on those technical things, because that's what buyers are initially going to search for. And then when they actually see the home, we want to make sure that they fall in love with it and that it pulls on the buyer's emotional side as well. Not just, how many beds or baths or the lot size and, things like that. In the end, the job of the agent isn't just to tell you what they think buyers are looking for in general, but they really need to come up with a game plan regarding your specific home and what features and amenities that really need to be highlighted to draw in the most buyers versus, other things that the home could, have that maybe detracts. And so we need to deflect attention away from those parts of the house. Because every home, I don't care if it's $1 million or $50 million, has its strengths and weaknesses. So you want to work with an agent who has that experience to draw in the most buyers and get them excited about it to submit an offer, for your specific home and not just give you a generic answer. Okay, so here's the next question. What happens if my home doesn't sell in 30 days? So the standard answer you're likely to hear is, well, if we don't get the price you're looking for, then we'll just have to reduce it until we finally get that buyer. Now, a good agent is going to actually bring you some data. For example, right now in the South Bay, luxury homes have gone up 51% in terms of inventory compared to this time last year. So those are competing homes that are coming on the market if you're trying to sell, a luxury home. So it's taking a lot longer to sell that, versus last year. So they should tell you how many days it's going to take, both in your market as well as your price point, in order for you to sell your home. And right now for luxury homes, it may not make sense to reduce your price after just 30 days. So your agent should have a clear understanding of how long it's going to take to sell properties in this market right now. And there are 3 metrics I look at, when we consider this. Number 1 is the average time to sell homes in your price bracket. So these are successful sales, which of course, is what we're trying to achieve. The second one is the days on market of all the inventory. And this accounts for all the homes, whether they're, priced high or low or whatever. And so these, include those that are basically sitting for a long time, and maybe they drop off the market and go unsold, or whatever the case is. So we definitely want to do a price adjustment before this amount of time. And the third one is how long it's taking to sell competing homes similar to yours in your specific neighborhood. And of course, we want to factor that into our decision when we make that choice about when to make those price adjustments. So if your agent says, well, let's see how it goes and make changes as we need, rather than clearly indicating what the speed of the market is and what the expectations are and what the timeline should be like for any of those price adjustments ahead of time, then I'd be really concerned about working with that agent. I mean, let's face it, unfortunately in this business, a lot of agents will simply just tell you what you want to hear rather than being truthful and honest with you, and they really just kind of skip over this part. So when it comes time to, potential price adjustments, this conversation really has to happen ahead of time. And if your agent doesn't have the courage to discuss it with you and be honest with you, then I'd be concerned about working with that person. I actually made a video on pricing strategies and how that's based on market conditions, and I'll link that below in the description of this video. But the bottom line is you want to work with an agent who's going to present you with all the information you need to make an accurate decision when it comes time to both the pricing strategy as well as any price adjustments that need to be made later. And it really has to be dependent on data, not just someone's gut feeling. All right, so now we've gotten to the last question, which is, are there any sellers that you choose not to work with and why? Now, I'll be honest with you, I almost never get asked this question, but it's probably one of the best questions you can ask, and let me explain why. Because it gives you an opportunity to see if you're talking with someone who's being truthful with you versus someone that's just, telling you whatever they think you want to hear. Basically, it helps you determine, who's desperate to get a signed contract, so they, can post it on social media that they have a new listing and, they look busy, versus the professional agents that actually get stuff done and homes sold. Because, the second group of agents, they don't have time to be taking on these vanity listings that are never going to sell. Or worst, case scenario is, unfortunately there are a lot of agents that take on these listings and they know they're not going to sell them just so they can put a sign on, the front yard and build leads with buyers. All the while running up the clock on your property with no offers and putting you in a much more difficult situation later on. And for them, it's just a numbers game. Like maybe half of their homes sell and maybe half of them don't, and they don't really care because either way, they don't have a lot invested anyways. So just like you should have a list of things that are important to you when you're considering who you're going to hire, your agent should have some basic criteria that they follow when deciding who they're going to work with. Because if they're anything like me, the best agents out there are going to be invested thousands of dollars in helping you get your home ready to sell. Then they're going to spend thousands more in marketing and countless hours on the phone with buyers and agents in order to get you the best outcome possible. So you want a strong agent who is going to be heavily invested in actually getting your home sold, not just one that's, half in and half out. For me, the first thing I look for in a seller is someone that has a clear motivation for why they want to sell their home. Not just because, it'd be nice to get a slightly bigger yard for their poodle or whatever, but someone, who has a little more pressing of an issue, like maybe they're expecting another child, or they, that's why they need another bedroom, or maybe they're relocating to another part of the country, or whatever the case may be. Another thing I look for with a seller is someone that's reasonable when it comes to their pricing expectations. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to list a property for 10% or more than fair market value, if that's what they really want to do. I wouldn't recommend it, but if that's what they choose to do, I'll support them 100% and fight like heck to get it sold. All I ask is that they also understand what the current speed of the market is and how long it should take to sell, and if the market doesn't respond, then what that schedule of price reductions would look like, worst case scenario. So if the seller is realistic, then I'm 100% on board. Now, you may not realize it, but if you're sitting with a listing agent during their presentation, who's a heavy hitter and they sell every home they list, not only are they going to fully answer every question you have like a rock star, but if they're really good, then most likely they'll be interviewing you as well without you even realizing it. Just like you want to know, can this guy really sell my house? They're going to want to know, is this guy really serious about selling, or maybe do they just not care if it sits on the market for 6 or 12 months because they just want to test out the market? Because the best agents out there, like the best doctors or the best lawyers, they don't work for free. Only amateurs are desperate to get any client that happens to cross their path. And again, this all comes down to us working together as a team, and both of us being fully invested in the process with the goal of ultimately selling the home. So if I feel I have a willing and able partner, I'm excited, and I hope they're excited, and I look forward to helping them and their family move on to the next chapter of their life. So if you found this video helpful or know someone that would, please forward it to them, and consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel. It really helps out a lot. And if you're ready to interview agents and want to talk to someone who's going to be honest with you and tell you the truth, while also presenting you with some really good strategies that are working well in this market right now, please give me a call or jump on my calendar. There's a link below in the description. I look forward to serving you and your family, and I'll talk to you soon.